back to another episode of the Talk of the Rig Show. You have your host,
Sabrina.
And me, Harley. So today we have an amazing guest. Once she gets in, she's having some technical difficulties. But Sabrina, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm currently on my lunch break at work. I wasn't supposed to work today, but I picked up a shift because, we need the money. So I'm in my car, my nice lucky car. But Harley, how are you doing today? How was the show last night? Because she went to go see Raw.
It was crazy. The fireworks are crazy.
Probably loud too. That crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Oh my god. And I seen Anthony Blackwell there. I saw Paul Bowe there. I seen everybody there.
I saw Adena was there.
Yeah, that was fun.
Did you get to see her or no?
Sadly, no. She was just in the back. So
rubbing arms with all those WWE stars.
I asked her, I was like, oh my god, did you get to talk to like any other wrestlers? She goes, a little bit. I was like, I would die to talk to Bailey. Like that's different.
Oh my gosh. Some of these people, like, I don't know if I'd actually be able to make words.
Yeah, right.
Like especially like Randy Orton. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, right. Imagine. I would just, oh my goodness. But yeah, so until she gets in here, we also are having an episode on Friday. But for today's guest, we have none other than Adena Steele. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I know that I was able to log on. I don't know why I don't know my Instagram password, but some technical difficulties.
It's all good. We're all here.
Yeah, we always have some problems. But no, yeah, so we seen you were a guest on Raw last night. How was it?
It was actually a lot of fun. Like I thought, I didn't know what it would be like environment-wise, but it was really cool. I was comfortable. Of course, I was hoping I would do something, but it just being there in general was, cool to get invited at all.
Yeah, no, literally. If I was in your shoes, I probably would have died.
I think you would.
If I was in the same room as Bailey or one of those big wrestlers, I would have been I would have peed my pants. I would have been I can't handle this.
That was the interesting part because you're just kind of walking through the hallways, and you just see everyone just walking around casually. So it almost made it wasn't oh crap, there's this person that. It was just normal. Everyone was just people walking around, hanging out.
Yeah. No, but let's just hop right into it. Who or what got you into wrestling?
Well, watching it, I would say my dad, when I was a kid, he'd have it playing. So I just would watch. My sister wasn't too into it, but I always was. But it wasn't something I thought I would do necessarily. And then as I got older, things kind of just lined up. And one of my friends told me about a tryout. And I was whatever, I'll try. What's the worst that could happen? I don't enjoy it and I don't have to do it. But I immediately was into it and just kind of was like, let's go for it. Why not?
No, yeah. So how long have you been wrestling?
4 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, just I think my first match was late September. Would have been 2018. And that was just at my training center, the student shows. And then early-ish 2019 is when I started, going out to different companies and everything, trying to network and get my face out there.
Yeah. I remember itty bitty me and you were taking pictures. Well, I wasn't a huge fan. I was like, oh my god, she's just a wrestler, and I'm like, oh my god, I love her.
So you got the shirt on?
Yeah. I gotta get your new one. I'm behind.
I know. I finally got them made to have at shows. 'Cause for a while, I just had them on the pro wrestling tees, but people would always ask at shows, and I feel like having them physically, that's what people want. They kind of, it's everyone's the instant gratification. So The sharpshooter in the cream bath.
Everyone's so happy. Everyone's so happy you're here.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I was at that show with the whipped cream bath. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun matches I've done, I think, because it was just and like it was entertaining. The crowd was into it. It was beating them up with chickens. It was different.
Your mom was into it so much that time.
Oh god, she was having a day that day.
I got stung by a bee, and she was like still rooting you on though. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she was having a whole day with that. I know about the bee, and then my dad needed sunglasses instead of like switching the other side where the sun wasn't. I think they had a whole day there. They're complicated.
Yeah. Sabrina, when did you meet Adena?
I actually met her before PPW. It was at Smash for like a brief second. That's how I knew who she was. And then I saw her she was going to PPW, and your parents were like, "Oh yeah, no, she's going to PPW, coming back to PPW." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I go there too." And ever since then, like I've known her. So I mean, it's funny because you've known her from PPW. I just met her at Smash.
I had a picture. I can't find it, but this is my first ever picture I think I've got with her.
Oh my god, you're a little baby.
Look at the babies.
It was in my blonde hair phase. Now I have red hair.
Back in when they used to be in Hazleton, that old gymnasium.
Yeah. No. So who trained you?
Just in Glory at Backbreakers. Now it's in Archibald. When I first started, it was in Scranton, and then a whole bunch of stuff happened. They ended up moving down to Archibald, and they're still there now. And since then, I've gone out, other places a little bit, trained around, but that's where I initially, got my basics and everything down.
Yeah. Sabrina, do you have any questions on you today or no?
The notepad is saying no right now, but I will say I do enjoy seeing your gym pictures on Instagram because it gives me motivation.
That's what I hope for. Like, I feel like I hope people don't think I'm like a narcissist or something posting these pictures every day, but it's more so like, hey, I showed up, so you go show up kind of thing.
You got me doing it on my Snapchat, so now I'm like, hey, look at this. I was like, I feel like I do that right now.
Hey, like, what am I doing? No, I feel like it's like an accountability thing too.
Yeah.
For sure.
My dad says, how was it backstage at Raw last night?
It was cool. Like, I knew, there was another girl that they had as an extra, and like maybe like 5 or 6 guys. And it was cool because I knew almost everybody except for like 2 guys. So I was automatically like more comfortable because just having familiar faces around as opposed to just be all different people or it being weird and cliquey like some other places are. So it was like I was oddly calm. And I kind of just felt like, all right, I'm here. We're doing this. Going into it, I think anything new, you're a little more anxious and, you don't know what to expect. And it was a lot, I don't want to say better, but just more, it was very structured and everything. It wasn't, I don't want to say laid back in the sense like it was very organized, but everybody was like friendly and helpful. There wasn't much like attitude there, which you never know what to expect with that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I remember I was sitting next to my dad and I was like, because that's when Austin Theory or whatever they call him, just Theory now, well, it came out and they like were trying to break him up. I was like, I wonder if Adena's going to come out like as a like not bodyguard, but you know what I mean? I was like, is this her time? And I was like, darn.
No, they used a couple dudes for that, but I feel like realistically, they probably wouldn't send me out because I'm probably, smaller. And I feel like sometimes like having all the tattoos and this and that holds me back from situations like that because I think they want more of like a plain generic kind of look, because I don't know if I'd really look like I was a security guard.
How did you come up with your wrestling name? I remember I asked you that before and we never got to discuss that.
It was just kind of happened in a weird way. Justin, the guy that trained me, once I was getting ready for my first match and all that, we're talking about, what's my gear gonna look like, this and that, my name, whatever. And he had said that since I started training, he had this name in his head, and it was Adena. And I was like, all right, let me like mill it over a little bit. And, I'd throw it out there to people, and most people would just be like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know, because it rhymes or whatever. And then someone told me edema is some sort of blood clot. So I was just like, I don't think I'm going to go with that one. And then I was getting a tattoo on like the back of my leg. So I was kind of just laying there for hours and brainstorming about that. And I always have had this like little fascination with the moon. So I was looking up different names of moons. I was like, maybe I could find something cool. And then I came across a moon named Titania, but that one, it's a moon for Uranus. So I'm like, oh God, people are gonna like rip me apart in promo, like if they know where this came from. So like I can't do that. But like the Titania got the whole metal thing going, and then steel popped in my head. I was like, Adena Steele, I'll try it. And I guess it worked.
Wow. That's like the best, I think, story that we've heard of someone saying how they got their name in a while. So that's...
Yeah.
It was weird, yeah, because I didn't just sit there and like have it pop in my head. It just was like a combination of my trainer's idea and me just looking this stuff up, and just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever be named after a blood clot. So
yeah. Once people started saying that, I was like, okay, definitely not. But like Adena, I was like, that's cool. It's different. Like it almost sounded like Athena, like the Greek goddess. And then obviously now that was what Ember Moon changed her name to. But luckily I didn't go with that. But and I didn't want like that specifically, but I liked how it kind of had that same sound to it. And here we are.
But you seem to be wrestling a lot of places now, like New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York. Feel I'm missing one. I know those are the main ones. I always see you wrestling. I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah, those are the typical ones, I'd say. Once in a while, I'll get out of the area, but I feel like they're within the general, like, typically everything's between like 2 and 4 hours where I drive to. Anything beyond that is a little less common, just because, if it's worth it, I'll do it, or it's just a lot harder to get there. Then you got to get hotels and things like that. So if it's somewhere that's worth it, I'll travel a little bit, but I feel like within this area, there is so much that, and like a lot of good quality stuff as well. There's not, but then there's lots of options. So sometimes it's like I feel like this area has a lot, Florida has a lot, and in betweens, there's not as much. So I've just kind of been going around, and, I stick with certain ones, and I like to try new ones out. And then, upcoming next year, I want to, try to branch out more again, and just, it's like anything. You go to like a restaurant or a new place, and some places you're like, oh, I dig this vibe. Other places it's like, okay, this isn't for me. So kind of just test out a few new places, see, if it meshes or feels right.
Yeah.
I know I saw you on the trans Royal Rumble match the other day with Stan Styles.
Oh yeah, it was intergender. So that's a mouthful. Intergender Bonanza Rumble. It was like the second Rumble. The first Rumble they had actually was my first time at the Intergender Bonanza, and then this was the second one.
And that was a great one. I saw you like come out with a Ready Whip or like the huge can. I was like, wow.
I know I still gotta watch it back. I know it's up on IWTV now, but I haven't had a minute to check it out. I think I might tonight after this. Oh, yeah. It was fun because they had a whole scramble match. So there was a match of 7 of us first, and then I had that. And before that, I was at SWF, so I had like 3 matches that day. And then I woke up Sunday. I was like, I feel like I got hit by a bus. Like I was just so drained.
So like, what would you say is like your favorite matches or like favorite people to work with, like in the ring?
I guess it's hard to say. Like, there's a lot of your dad's cheering me on. There's a lot I feel like it's just different factors. Like there's certain matches I like because maybe technically and wrestling wise, like we meshed well. Other ones like the one with Stan with the whipped cream and all that. It's not as much technical wrestling, but it's more, the crowd there loves it and I have so much fun. So I would say it ranges. Whenever I do stuff with Stan, it's always entertaining and a good time. I'm not stressed about it. Me and Christina Marie we always gel well together. Vicky, there's a few people that I feel like really gel well together with. And, it seems like I end up wrestling the same people a bunch of times, and then I don't. And then a couple different people, and it goes through like a cycle. I feel like I'll the same match over and over. But so, I really haven't had many people that I didn't like, but there's definitely people I feel like with anything, like you just mesh better than with others.
Me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. One day you'll be in there.
No, but we have a question from my dad. He says, would you go full heel turn at PPW with full face paint?
With full face paint. Are we talking just like face paint, or does he mean like when I did the Sting face paint?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but painting my face just for that one match when I was Sting, that was the most uncomfortable I ever was in my life. Like, and I didn't know you had to put a setting powder on. So like I couldn't like touch my face, and every time the wind would blow, my hair would stick in it and it would smear, and it was just rough.
I remember seeing the pictures and I was like, oh my God, that's Adena? I was like, no way, that is not. And then I like zoomed in, I'm like, that's her.
I was like having a heart attack doing that.
So he's somewhat like the Sting, but in your own style.
I wouldn't be opposed. I feel like maybe down the road, I'm always trying to think of different things. I get bored easily, so ways to switch things up. So even after that, I was thinking like, oh, like I know people do that a lot, and I don't know if I would do full, but I would think, I always do the thing with the eyeliner. So I was even thinking like about doing like just something around the eyes, like more, but I don't know exactly what yet. I have to play around with it a bit. Yeah. But that stuff is uncomfortable.
I know your technique with your makeup too is like amazing. Like every time you come out, I'm like, man, I gotta start practicing more.
Thank you. I used to do it a lot for work. I do hair, and I used to do more makeup. Now I just focus on hair. So it's something I always like enjoyed, and it kind of came naturally to me. I think just I started playing around with makeup so young, and then doing it for work. That's another thing I love with wrestling, being able to like express that side of me, because like I'm obviously not going to go out in public looking like that normally, but I get to really go a little above the norm, and with wrestling everything's kind of over the top, so it's just kind of like, yeah, I'll just play around with this, whatever, and there's really no rules, or no one's going to be like, why does she look like that, because you don't know what you're going to expect. So I always have fun with it.
It's a creative outlet for sure. Like you can easily like make your character anything you really want to. So like that's great for it.
Literally.
Yeah, so we've obviously seen you heel, we've seen you babyface at PPW, but which one would you say you prefer? Being baby or heel?
It's so hard because like being heel, I wasn't like when I first started, I was heel for a little bit places, and then I pretty much was babyface everywhere for a long time. And then I'd say within the last year or so, more places started booking me as heel. And I enjoyed it way more than I thought, because it just kind of get to like, for me, I'm being silly, but obviously they're coming across as like mean and kind of a bitch, but I'm just like goofing off, and I'm actually very sarcastic. So I could channel that a little bit. But then I do feel bad sometimes, like not in the ring, but with, you're going out and like a little kid wants to shake your hand, or, whatever. I feel it's hard for me to get over that, because I feel like I love the fans and making them happy and connecting with them. And as a heel, they don't like you and you're being a jerk. So I feel bad, and it's hard to get that. But wrestling wise, I do enjoy being a heel, but it's hard outside of the ring.
Yeah, no, I remember, I forgot what month it was, but you came out heel and everyone was like, oh my God, she's not being nice. And then everyone started booing you. And then I'm like, bro, I love her. And then you came over and gave me a hug. I'm like, haha, she gave me a hug and not you.
I know. I couldn't see. That's what I mean. I couldn't blow you off. Even.
Mean to everyone but me. She loved me.
Exactly.
No, but what is like? This is off topic from wrestling, but what would you say is your favorite tattoo?
That's a good question. God, there's so many to choose from. I really like the moon that I have on my neck, just how it was done, and it's really intricate. Like I said, with my fascination with the moon. Today's actually the eclipse, or the full moon. Sorry, the eclipse is coming up, the blood moon. But then like meaning wise, like on my knuckles, I have like the year my grandma was born, the year she passed. So like visually, it isn't. It's just numbers, but it means more than necessarily like a moon. Oh, why is she calling me? Okay, because it distracted me. But I would say those two for like different reasons. But I like most of them.
No, yeah, because obviously I'm turning 16 in a couple months, which is crazy because I met you probably literally right when you first started wrestling.
It had to have been, yeah.
Like, usually when you do something for your sweet 16, it has to be like big, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, maybe my first thing will be a tattoo, and I'm like, I gotta think long and hard about like what I want to get and like how much of a meaning it actually has. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I know when I was young, especially like my parents wouldn't let me get any before I was 18, and like luckily I didn't get any by my friends. I had some people that did it, and I was like, luckily I didn't because they would have been regrettable, I'm sure. But I would, when I was 18, I didn't have as many bills and this and that, so I'd get paid and just like impulsively make a tattoo appointment or go get a tattoo. And some of them I don't necessarily hate, but I would definitely not get them now. I didn't put enough thought into it, where now I tell people like, if you think of an idea, you like it and you still like it in a few months, 6 months, it's probably something you're not going to change your mind about. But I know for me, I could get very impulsive and like obsessive. So I'm like, oh, I want this. I want it now. And then in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to think some of this through very thoroughly.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah. So in the chat, we have my dad. He goes and says, would you wrestle at UCW in Hazleton? They are actually, I wouldn't say they're new, but they're new to the Hazleton area. Me and Sabrina, we got partnered with them.
Oh, I was going to say, honestly, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah.
So I guess I wouldn't be opposed. I don't really know much. I haven't heard of them yet.
Yeah. And then let's see. My dad also says, would you ever make yourself a key character? Not exactly sure what he means, but
I don't either. I'm like, okay, he doesn't mean a keychain. He says that'll look awesome on you. So I don't know if he meant to make keychains. Maybe. I don't know what it is either.
Yeah, we'll see what he says. But Anthony says, bummed we never got the match we all needed with her and Christina without a run-in.
Honestly.
It was you and Christina, I think, and then JC Storm messed that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like me and her always had a weird, the booking was always weird. Like there could have been a good story and a lot more added to it, and I felt like it was kind of just brushed over, and there are a lot of things with that I personally wasn't like creatively a fan of.
Yeah.
But me and her have had some really good matches. Like we had a really good one at SWF, and then we had a really good one at NYCW a few months ago. Like probably my favorite match. And that one I really like because I was heel and she was face. It was like in her hometown. So it was a little different than our normal dynamic. And that one was a lot of fun. That one was a lot of fun, actually. That might have been my favorite one we had. Yeah. So I could try to find that and send it to you.
Yeah.
I think she actually uploaded it on YouTube, now that I think about it.
You guys always work so great together. Like she's always, majority of the time she's heel, and then you're nice. So the crowd loves you and they hate her, but they love her at the same time.
Right. Like hate to love her or love to hate her. Whatever. Almost same thing. Not at all.
My dad goes and says like a keychain, like with your face or a cartoon character version of it.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought at first. I wasn't sure. That's actually a good idea. I've actually been brainstorming a lot more about like that's why I got new like the physical shirts, and I want to branch out merch wise. I have like the 8x10s stickers, shirts, but I want to do more like that. So that'd be something I definitely would look into. I know even back when Johnny Moran had his podcast, he had these little figures of everyone drawn up, and there was like a little Adena cartoon. So if I could find that graphic, I'd be open to turning that into something.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I mean, he's got dolls. So if Johnny Moran can have his little dolls, you can definitely have a keychain.
Yeah. My thing is like, I don't like with a lot of the technology and things like that. I'm like, I feel like I get very overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, like who to contact, what company to do. And sometimes I want you to upload this or do that. I'm like, I don't know. And then I just like forget about it. But
I'm the same way. I forget about things all the time. And I'm like, oh crap. Okay. But before you go on, Harley, I got to get back into work because that was my 30-minute break. But I just want to pop on and say hi to Adena. And of course, thank you for coming on our podcast. But I'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. So, back onto the chat, we have a lot of people blowing it up. My dad goes and says, I think honestly you should have got payback on Danny Moe for your title back a singles match, not Fatal 4.
That's typically how it works.
Yeah, that's how it is.
I don't know why that wasn't a thing. And then last time when I was there, me and her were supposed to tag. And then we ended up wrestling each other both as faces, but then now the belt's missing. And I'm not really sure what's happening there. So
literally, that title is missing. Well, it's not missing. It's there, but there's no champion. We know who it was, but
I don't know. You got a belt at least. You're the champion now.
Yeah, I'm the champion.
You're the only one with the belt, so
seriously, yeah, right. Because it was Tasha, and now Tasha's not there. So they'll probably throw it in this weekend on the Danny Moe match. Be like, here's the title.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. I'm like,
that's true. I wonder though. I feel like if they were, they would maybe advertise it as that, but maybe it'll be like a last minute choice, or they didn't think about it beforehand.
I mean, who knows? PPW is unpredictable.
Definitely.
Okay, so next question I have is, what is your favorite thing about wrestling?
I guess kind of like I was saying before, I think just like the experiences and the fans and the people you meet. I go so many different places, and I wouldn't know you. Like I wouldn't know. I've met so many people. I wouldn't have my boyfriend. Like I wouldn't have so many people in my life that I most likely wouldn't have crossed paths with otherwise. And it's just such a good escape for me, just to get out. Whether I'm having a good week, bad week, whatever. Like going there, I kind of forget whatever is bugging me. Whether it's like personal issues, financial issues, it's that thing where I get like a little relief from it. And usually after the matches, I feel like you almost get like a high from it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, as long as it's not on a rough day.
Yeah,
but for multiple reasons, I'd say, but definitely like just the experiences, the people, having that outlet.
Me. No, but what would you say is the hardest part about wrestling?
I guess I would say kind of sort of the same thing. Like even though it does get you, we love you. Love you too. But
Anthony,
hello. Look who's here.
Surprise!
Welcome to the party.
I'm not as pretty as the other co-hosts, but Harley asked if I can come in and hang out with her and help with some questions.
Nice. You're making it work. I'm so surprised. But as to least favorite, I would say the one thing is even though I am, like I said, I enjoy traveling a lot and doing everything, I also don't have much personal time.
Yeah.
Because it's, I have a full-time job and then the dogs and now a cat. And, I gotta go to the gym and gotta sleep. And, then the weekends I'm gone most of the time. And it's a lot of people, I've kind of lost touch with, or I think, get frustrated with it. And, you know, I do have a lot of people who are supportive and understanding, but some people I feel like are just like, oh, like, I'm not even going to invite her because we know she'll be gone or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like a sacrifice in that sense. And I think another thing, it's hard because I feel like social media is so big now and it's so easy to compare, to see someone be like, oh, like they've only been doing it this long. Like, how did they get this opportunity? And, you know, I feel like I do so much and try so hard. And sometimes, you know, I feel like I get rewarded for that. But a lot of times I find myself comparing and wondering like, why is this them and not me? And, you know, am I doing something wrong? Or, you know, I don't have a lot of, you know, some people like they have trainers and people that have connections and get them in places, and they get to experience a lot of things very early on that other people might never get to experience. And it's hard to not, you know, it's like you want to be happy for them, but it's just kind of like that little kid inside. It's like, well, this isn't fair. Like, I'm doing so much and I care so much, and I just, you know, it pays off, but you know, we're always hoping for something new or something more. And it's just kind of not getting in my head about that kind of thing. I feel like I'm my own worst critic, so I get very hard on myself about a lot of things, and that could trigger it sometimes.
Yeah, as someone who's been watching you for a very long time, obviously, you know, with all over Northeast area, you really hit your stride. I would say early, the beginning of the pandemic, and then coming out of the pandemic. You put tons of muscle on. You really transform yourself. You really honed in your craft. You put yourself around an amazing support system. For me personally, one of the biggest people in this business who have really, you know, kind of put me under the wing and were super supportive was Diamond City War Machines. You know what I mean? And just really the crowd they keep, and then obviously meeting that stud, you know, Kit. I think you really found your stride, and it's really paying off now. You know, just going everywhere. You've had 2 appearances in the Women's Super 8. You said you're not just a PPW person. You're not just a backbreakers person. You're really branching out, and you're doing very well for yourself.
I do appreciate that as, like, you know, from an outside perspective, because like I said, I try to, I always look at, like, I could watch a whole match and be like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Instead of like, I try to tell myself, okay, but what did I like? You know, it's still good to critique and change things that need to be changed or whatever. But I did feel that way too. Like right before the pandemic, I felt like I was finally kind of coming into my own, getting comfortable. And then there was that whole break, and coming back at first, it was like trying to get back in the swing of things again. And it was hard having that much time off. You know, there'd be a little bit, some tapings here and there, but that I would train a little bit, but it wasn't the same as, you know, wrestling every weekend and getting that experience and comfortability and networking. But that's why, and yeah, Brad and them are always very helpful and supportive. And, you know, a while back, like before the pandemic, even the Diamond City War Machines would, you know, a lot of times at Backbreakers, like opening up on Sundays for Fuzzy. Sorry, my dog's trying to eat the cat food. Lay down. And they'd open up on Sundays, like just with their free time. They didn't have to do it, just to help out, you know, a few of us that were, you know, graduated and I think wanted more than, you know, the original structure of the program provided. And like, that was really cool because like they didn't have to do that on their free days whatsoever. And that was, I think, was right around, you know, Brad was about to come back and all them. So they were getting themselves back in ring shape a bit. And it was cool. It was a cool thing to go through. And it definitely helped a lot. And knowing you have people supporting you too is also helpful.
That group is good too, because I think a lot of times in this business, you get a lot of false feedback where just like, yeah, you did awesome. But that group of people is gonna be like, hey, you did good, but this, and this needs to get fixed. And this is where you're weak, and this is where you need to get better. And they're not there to hurt your feelings. They're there to make you better. And I think that's where, and I'm very fortunate to be part of that group as well, because they do the same thing for me in commentary. Like, hey, work on this, do that. And I think that's what, like, I think really our core system has really elevated all of us essentially in any aspect of of professional wrestling, whether you're a cameraman, a wrestler, a manager, anything. Our support system is really key.
No, that's 100%. Because like you said, they're never the people to like put you down. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're gonna finish commentary or a match and they're gonna be like, you know, what's wrong with you? You suck. Like, what did I? But you know, I feel like if you're, you know, I always want to get better. I'm sure you do. Like everyone, you in any business or profession or hobby, whatever, like you hope no one ever thinks they're like perfect or have no room to improve. And, you see that even in wrestling. I'll see, you hear people or see people and they're like, yeah, like they think they're like amazing. And half of them, it's usually people that like never even went to actually training. And I'm like, God, if I could have that confidence for like what they are doing right now. And you get people that are obsessed with themselves too. I'm like, okay. But then at that point, it's like, then that's when you go stagnant because you're not pushing yourself to the next level. You don't think you need to. So I think having that like constructive criticism is helpful because sometimes, you're doing, obviously we're all doing the best we can, but we could all get better and improve and find new ways of doing what we already do.
Yeah, so it seems we have another guest. My dad.
Hey.
I feel like we're celebrity squares here. This is crazy.
Oh God, yeah. Is that what it was called? Yeah. With like Whoopi Goldberg and stuff.
Hi there. Hi.
Hello,
we're like a really weird Brady bunch right now.
I just keep adding that. We'll just be these little tiny
100 more people.
Everybody, come on.
What do you got lined up, Harley? What's the question you got?
I would just say, what is the best advice you were given for wrestling?
I guess sort of like I was just saying, just never stop learning, treat everybody with respect, whether they're, assigned talent or someone new. Try not to let anything go to your head. Like just kind of doing, being safe with everyone. But I think the biggest thing is just keep improving, like never stop learning.
I have another one here for you. A lot of talent, like I'll use Christina Marie as an example, where she felt like she was hitting a good stride, but she wasn't really hit that plateau yet. And she said, like, at least to me, she said one of her moments was working with Mercedes Martinez at PPW and having that series where she got to work and just having that one day on a weekend where she got to pick someone's brain and work with her in the ring and go over a match. What was that moment for you if you felt like you hit that yet, where it just clicked, where you just kind of like fell into your comfort zone, where you don't walk into a locker room and you don't feel nervous or scared, and you kind of had that aha moment where you're like, okay, I belong here? Who was that moment, and if was it a match or in any aspect of that?
That's a great question. Wow.
Like, damn, that's deep. I'm trying to think. Like I feel like there's been different moments like that. Like like keep building where I think for when I was newer and getting out of just backbreakers and branching out, and it's always nerve-wracking, and at first it's I'm sure I was awful a lot and I had a lot of room to grow, but I think once, like you said, I still get the nerves a lot. It varies, like promotion to promotion, day to day. Like some places I go, I know who's going to be there for the most part, whatever. I'm more comfortable. When it's somewhere new or different, that's when I'm like, oh, I don't know what to expect, and kind of freaking out. But I try to remind myself, like, okay, you know what you do, you'll make it work. But I'd say before the pandemic and all that, I think when I started, even with like when True Wrestling was around and all that, I had a lot of different matches there and fun ones that, they kind of would book different people than I normally would work. And that was fun. And then after, I think, like I was kind of saying with Harley, I was working heel a lot more different places. And I think finding that balance of like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, it kind of like helped me be more confident, knowing like whatever is thrown at me, I could handle it. I'm trying to think if there was like any one person specifically, but of course, and then recently with with everything Smash has been doing and pushing me, and then getting to wrestle like Masha, and even working with Katie Arquette was so fun. And I think I'm finding that more. I'm having a lot more fun. Like I always had fun, but I'd always be so stressed that I was like freaking myself out. And now I'm learning to just like relax and go in there and just enjoy, interact maybe with the crowd more and stuff like that. And I feel like each time it gets a little more natural.
Yeah, I love how Smash has really have given you the ball and made you the star that you deserve to be in that promotion. I love that for you. I want to pulling up to that drive-in and seeing Adena Steele on the drive-in marquee. I was like, yes! Like
I was so confused when I was going. I'm like, why does it just say my name right there?
Yeah.
I do have a question. All right, so my question to you, Adena, is before you come out to the match, What's going through your mind right before you're ready to go out? Behind those curtains, what's going through your mind? What gets you ready and souped up to be like, okay, it's time for me to go. Let's do this. What goes to your mind to make you be ready to go out there and put on the show and let everybody know that you're ready?
It's funny because right before I'm usually just like jumping around, stretching a little bit, warming up. And then that's when I get really like butterflies, and I'm just like, don't throw up, don't throw up, don't throw up. But like, then I'll get out there, and sometimes I get in the ring, and I'm like, I forget everything. And then like, but once I get there and settle in, like everything's fine. And it happens almost every time. Like right before going out, I'm just like freaking out, and then once I get in there, I'm in the ring, the bell the bell goes. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I feel like I'm in my element, but the anticipation of it and being like, okay, how's this going to go? Is this going to be good? How's the crowd going to react? Like everything's going through my head and then trying to remember this and that. So I'm usually just freaking out, honestly, before I go out a little bit. Like, they're like, oh crap, I got to pee. Now it's too late to pee. All right, now I go. Hope I don't pee when I'm wrestling. Like all these little things.
It's the nerves. It's, like you're so anxious to do it, but then you're like, shit, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Wait. It's like you're trying to get yourself together just to get ready to go out there and put on an A+ show to show them that, hey, you have the skills. You're here. You're ready. Now.
Yeah, and I'm usually like, saying to I literally say to myself every time, like, why do I do this to myself? I'm the one that agrees to this, drives myself here, gets ready, and the right before I'm like, why do I do this to myself? And then after I'm like, oh, this is why. Like I feel so much better. Before I'm just like, ah.
It's that still.
I wish more people can see that experience of that character change in certain people right before they hit that curtain.
Yes.
Because that is the most magical thing that I've personally got to experience, and I love so much in this business, is just seeing your friends that you've just been talking to in the back and having a good time with, and they just, as soon as they hear that music and they're about to hit that curtain, they just transform. They're a different person. Boom. It's such a magical. I get goosebumps every time I think about it. It's awesome. It's so dope. Yeah. It's such a cool experience. Yeah.
I feel like that's what happens when you hear your music. You're like, well, I got to do it now. Like you can't just not go. So you're like, all right, this is it.
Gotta go.
Yep.
I got more Adena fluff real quick. So another thing that I really think a lot of people don't know behind the curtain is, you said you've only been doing this for 4 years. And I know from experience, a lot of these promotions you go work at, you get thrown into matches where you're, even as a younger, like still doing this fresh and still learning stuff yourself, where you have to be the ring general. You have to be the one to call the match. And I've seen you work with a lot of, let's say, really green or young talent yourself. And for you to really step into that leadership role has been really cool to see you helping others, even though you are at such a young, pivotal spot in your career. So I don't think a lot of people realize that when they go see certain matches where they see a performance in one place or another. Like you working a mosh is completely different than you working somewhere at another promotion where they're even newer than you are. And you're like thrown into a position where you're like, Adena, you got to call the match. And you're still like, oh, well, this has to happen. So it's like I said, like just what's happening in between those ropes, what's happening behind the scenes and stuff. That Adena is just she's fantastic.
Yeah, top notch, definitely. Yeah, I've seen it a few times myself. Anthony, I definitely do agree with you on that. I've seen her where she's in matches where there's newbies, and she has to take over the match. She has to sell the moves to make them look good. You know what I mean? And she does a great job at it. And it's not easy, especially with somebody who's not as trained as you are, and you try to, help them become better and put on a great show. So I give you credit.
Yeah, this is not NXT, AEW, WWE, where they have weeks and weeks to sit with each other and work with things. The indie scene, you got 15 minutes. That's if they don't show up at call time to really put a match together and figure things out. And then you're still trying to do stuff, and you're like, well, can you call it in the ring? Do we have to sort it out here? There's a lot of variables that people don't realize, and how valuable the independent scene is to helping people and the talent grow and better themselves in this craft.
And that truly does happen a lot, where you get all different types of personalities. You get people who want to talk about every little detail, people that just kind of say blah blah blah, might do this, that, and you kind of just see what happens. But that it has been happening a lot more to me, working like super new people, and it is like more pressure, because I know immediately, like, all right, I have to just figure this whole thing out, because otherwise I know it's going to go completely rogue. And it depends on the person. Like some people, if they've actually been trained and understand, they'll follow pretty well, but then I've had a few times where the people aren't really trained and should not be having matches, and it gets more frustrating because I'm trying to put my best self out there, and beyond it being sort of like embarrassing to put on like that kind of performance, it's also not safe. Like if you haven't been trained and know what you're doing or able to communicate, I think it's even on the promotion to look more into the people they're bringing in, not just I feel like people are so quick, because there aren't as many females around. So I think people are so quick to see, oh, there's this new person, this new one, let's bring them in. And I feel like it does. I've had a lot of people that have had like their first matches almost with me. Just they tell me 2 seconds before the match it's their first match. I'm like, what? And sometimes, depending where they come from, it's cool. Like they listen, they follow, it's never going to be like a 5-star, but for what it is, you make it work. But I feel like that's another thing too that's been helping me. Like you said, those like aha moments. But I'm like, okay, if I could get through that, or I almost feel like I get in a better mindset at that point because I know, like, okay, this is on me. Like this is on me right now.
Yeah, you've been doing a marvelous job doing it.
Oh,
and I know how frustrating it can be because you do have high expectations for yourself, and then sometimes the matches don't go the way you plan. But it takes two to tango.
Yeah, and it's just for me, like,
it's not on your opponent either because they're still trying as well. They're not going to say no to a booking. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And it's always just a weird spot to be in, and that's what I try to remind because it's like people like us know, you could see what's happening, but for like a regular fan, I'm always like, oh god, I don't want them to be like, why does Adena come here? Like she's, you know what I mean? I get in my head about it a little bit.
Women's wrestling is already under a different microscope every time you go out there. You know what I mean? And it's there's a lot of variables, and you've been doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
So
what do you got, Harley?
So in the ring, what would you say is your favorite move to do?
Ooh. I know my answer.
I think I have a couple. Well, let's see. I've been doing the TKO a lot as a finish. That one's fun. I really like it. Obviously doing it, but also I feel like I could tell a good story with it almost, like leading up to it. Like you try to get someone up, you don't and then eventually when I get to, if I do hit it, or whether I do or don't, like it means more. And it's still, I do that, fisherman neck breaker thing sometimes as a finish, but it's harder, because you hook for that the same as you would for a suplex. So you can't really play it the same way. And then sometimes I do that like pump handle, fall away, slam thing. And that, I don't do it with everyone, just people I know that could keep themselves safe and they trust me. But that one's always cool because it's like, I feel like it's different. And honestly, people do it a lot. So I like to do that just to switch it up. People are like, oh, what's happening? I'd say those are my tops right now.
The rebound German suplex.
Oh shit! How did I? Well, Kit stole that off me, so now I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No, I do, but honestly, the thing is, you'd be surprised the amount of people that usually girls. I've never really had it with a guy. That's why honestly I like working with guys better usually because I feel like they're usually actually trained and just they'll do things. And I've had a lot of females that won't take a German or won't. I do a Sayudo a lot. It's like almost a German, but sort of sideways, and people are more open to that. But a lot of people are just like don't want to take a German. So that's why I do it, but I haven't been doing it. If you'll notice, I work guys. I'll usually throw it in there, but a lot of times with females, they just don't want to take it.
They are afraid that you might hurt them, but yet they have to trust you. So
I think it's more they're afraid to take. I think it's more afraid they're to take it than it is to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's 100%.
That's true. Yeah.
And I've never hurt anyone doing it. I don't think I've ever hurt anyone doing anything.
It's super clean. You're good at what you. It's first time I seen it. I was like, well, I have my logo for my podcast.
And I would never. That's the thing. Like I would never do something where I thought I could hurt someone. Like if there was even a potential thing, I all the time I'll be like, I don't really. If someone throws an idea out, I'm like, I'd rather not do that. Just because I might not get where I need to be or whatever. Like I'm pretty big on like, I know the things I can do. I know the things maybe I need to improve on and this and that. So I work around. I'm not going to just be like, yeah, we'll do that. And then something happens and God forbid someone got hurt. And then I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I never did that before. Like, I'm not just going to wing it unless it's something where, both of us could be safe no matter what happens.
Yeah. So in the wrestling, like in your career, do you have like a certain age that you want to retire or, Like, is it going to be a injury or something?
Hopefully not an injury.
Give her another 10.
Hopefully not an injury. I don't necessarily have a certain age. I did start wrestling like I'd say later in life than most people. Like I didn't start training until I was 26. I didn't have my first match till I was almost 28. Now I'm 31.
You're younger than that.
So they say young. I'm young at heart. But it's hard because I get conflicted because like you don't want to have a family one day and there's only sort of like a time limit with that, but I also don't want to stop wrestling. So I know if I ever did have a family, I wouldn't wrestle. I know I wouldn't. I barely could leave my dogs half the time. So I think now it's been 4 years. I want to give it a few more years, see what happens. If I keep going and it's, I enjoy it for what it is, but if it doesn't lead anywhere, I do need to focus more on money and work. And, because as much as I love wrestling, it's, being at work pays a little better and I'm not gone the whole day. And, but it's like something I love. So I don't mind it right now. But, down the road, I know maybe by like, I don't know. I don't even want to put a number on it because by the time I get there, I'll probably be like, no. But I think just seeing what happens. Like if I'm still having fun, I'm probably not going to stop. Maybe I'll freeze my eggs or something. I don't know.
Every time you do like a really good job on someone's hair, you're looking for like the hot dog and you're like, oh, this is not the same thing.
You're giving me money?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Like the old saying is, money got to be made, bills got to be paid.
Exactly. Yeah. Like at the end of the day.
Okay.
And that's why I'm trying, like I was saying before, even like we were just talking about the keychains, like I'm trying to find new ways to make money with wrestling because I'm like, I spend so much time at the gym and this and that. I'm like, how could I turn this into?
I have a really smart one and it wouldn't cost you very much.
What's that?
And I think Harley would agree this would be a cool one. You should go buy a box of Band-Aids and you should write Steele all over them and sell Band-Aids at your merch table.
Wow, why have I never thought of that?
You're welcome. You can have that.
That's genius.
Well, wait, does the Band-Aids have to be the steel color and then you just
Absolutely,
sign them in black?
Yeah.
Ooh,
100%.
Yeah.
That's
Put it right
actually
here across
cool.
the
Wow,
eye.
I
is a
never
box of
thought of
Band-Aids?
that.
You know what I mean? Sell them for like $1 or $2 a piece. There you go.
Right, just a little something, but I feel like it's
Everybody in the
different.
crowd has a Band-Aid like Nelly in 94. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Still.
That's actually why I started coloring it and everything. So I don't want people to call me Nelly, but with the dermal, I'm like, well.
So back in 2000, you got some championship in Eclipse. Then in 2021, you got your PPW. Then again in 2022, you got Eclipse for the second time that you're still currently holding.
Yeah, but I'm returning it. It had a little like moral conflict.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna be going back there. So I physically have it, and they've been a little weird. Like I offered to send it back, and then they were like, "Oh, if you guys look into like how to do that," I'm like, "No, just like let me know what to do, and I'll send it." Like this isn't on me. So it's a weird thing happened with that. The one show they were just having somebody there that really didn't need to be there. I didn't think for the kind of they spew a lot of hate on the internet, and I didn't think it was. And they lost a lot of people. I didn't really like after that had happened because I put out that I wasn't going because I didn't want them switching the story up about why we wouldn't be there. And I just I didn't like shit on them. I just said this is what it is. I'm not gonna go represent that company. And then after I had posted that, I've talked to numerous people who said they had reached out even way before because I wasn't even familiar with what was happening or the person until someone pointed out to me, and the booker just didn't care and was like, because I'm like in my head it's like you care more about bringing in this one person one time than your people that are loyal and here all the time, and like no one even knows who that guy really is. It just I don't know.
It was leading up to your current day championship that you won about a couple days ago, the intergender bonanza super champion.
Yeah, how about that?
I never heard of that name before. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was in they had like a big rumble. I was in 7 until the end. That was a long match.
She's like Flair. You won a rumble and won a championship over it.
Yeah, that one was really cool too because that's one of my favorite places to work, if not like because it's like how we were talking about like the match with Stan in the whipped cream pool shit, and I'm Sting and he's Hulk Hogan. Like it's just fun. Like the crowd there's always fun. It's no one really ever has an attitude. Cause I remember going into that, you know, it's all intergender basically. Whenever the first few times I'd go, I'd be like trying to think about stuff in my head on the drive. And I'm like, oh, would he not want to do that? Cause you'll get some guys that are, you know, they'll work with a girl, but they might not want to do this or do that or sell this. They're like, they forget, like, you know, I mean, this isn't all so real. And they're like, oh, I don't know. So everyone there's, I've never had a problem with anyone. Like everyone's always been fun and just down to do whatever. And I've had some goofy matches. I've had some really good, just wrestling matches. It just happened I was a girl and there was a guy. But I always, like, I've never had a bad experience there. So winning that, like, was really cool. Because I'm like, oh, I love this place. And it's cool to get to represent it now.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to work dudes, which is, I think, is a good spot for you.
Yeah, I feel like it's like sort of my niche a little bit. Like I don't mind working with women. I have fun with that too. But I don't know. I don't know if it's I just feel safer in my head and just am open to more. Or I don't know. But I feel like I always have a good time.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I was gonna just say do you have like a dream match or a dream opponent that you would like love to face? It could be anyone, AEW, WWE, whatever.
I don't like honestly at this point, I'm like, I don't even know because like I've had so many matches with people that I thought I would like, and then I'm like, oh, we didn't match some people that were just random and we had really good matches. So I wouldn't even say there's like a certain person as much as like I just want to wrestle different people than I've wrestled to learn. I feel like when I wrestle new people, I learn something, whether it's how they call the match or something, you know, the way they do this or that. I always try to, you know, bring something out of it.
Yeah. My last question, well, not really a question, but it'll just be like, where can people find you, such as shows and social media?
Well, social media, you know, Facebook, Instagram, it's Adena Steele. Twitter, it's just _ Adena Steele because somebody somehow took that name before I did. Hey, there he is. Oh wait, is that? Oh, I couldn't know if I look backwards because of the thing. Whatever. What else do I have? I kind of have a TikTok, but I only use that usually when I'm like having a mental breakdown. And I didn't make a TikTok on this. But I'm trying to get more. I actually just filmed some stuff today at the gym because I keep saying I'm going to do that and start and then stop. So I've been trying to get more going with that. And, you know, I'm sure stuff on. I have my own YouTube, but I haven't uploaded stuff for a while. But you know, there's stuff on there. I think that's it.
Yeah. As for
shows, this Saturday was supposed to do SWF. They just canceled because of an outdoor show. But then I was double shooting anyway. So I'm going Warriors of Wrestling in New York. They're having an intergender show.
Adena.
Warriors is a good cool promotion.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I was only there once before.
Isn't Warrior where Ospreay was their champion for a little bit?
Potentially.
Is that the same Warrior?
Maybe.
Ospreay
I'm
from
not sure.
AEW?
From New Japan. He worked AEW.
Of course, from New Japan, then AEW. I'm sorry.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No.
I believe that's the same promotion, Warrior.
Yeah.
It might be. I know there's
a helmet.
I think there's two. There's this Warriors that's in New York, and then I'll see another one. I'm not sure where it is. I don't know.
Maybe we're not.
I should know what I'm doing, where I'm going. And then what else is going on? There's a lot this month. So that's then the 18th. There's 3 Legacies wrestling. I'll be wrestling Kayla Sparks. That's in Lancaster. The 19th, I'm back at ACW in Maryland. Then the following weekend, the 25th is something. There's a lot. I'll post it on my social media.
Yeah.
And then trying to, I don't know. My brain spins.
Yeah,
I know that weekend I have 3 in a row. So I don't know how I don't remember any of the 3, but this is who I am.
Yeah, no. One thing that just came to me was I remember it was when PPW was still in Hazleton. I had front row, and then I seen Anthony Blackwell. He was coming around, like he started on the opposite side interviewing people, and I'm like, I think it was my aunt or someone at the time. I was like, please come interview me. Please come interview me. And come to find out, it was his last interview for the night. And then he was asking me questions, and I was like, well, I love Adena Steele. And then he's like, can you do the hand thing? And I'm like, kind of, not really.
There was 2 names that you said that day.
Yeah.
It was Adena Steele and Bro Keller.
Yep.
So fun fact, she's not aware of this, but every time I go to a show, I try to think as someone who's now, I guess you would say in the business, which is still weird for me to say, is what would I think as a fan, what would make my experience better and get these people to still come back? And I thought to myself, is like, if you can make somebody in the crowd have a different experience or just saying, hi, thank you for coming to the show. What was your favorite match? And just having a small interaction, that might sell a ticket again next week to get more people to still come. And she had a sign that said it's my birthday. And when I came out with my camera, I was still doing the content. And the goal was everybody there is interviewing wrestlers. I'm going to interview the fans. I'm going to build that repertoire with the fans. And it paid off because then the fans started knowing more who I was. But when I first came out, I seen her birthday sign. So I was like, I'm going this way and I'm saving her for last.
Oh, that's adorable though.
Yeah.
And then
I went back in the back and got Bro and told Bro to come out and say hi to her for her birthday because she was rooting for him.
Oh,
yeah.
It's little baby Harley back in the day.
Little baby Harley. Yep.
And it's all my fault, but I don't care.
I think
I got her into PPW, and it's been 9 years now, right, Harley, that you started going to PPW?
Wow.
9 years.
Wow. That's so cool though. Like I didn't even know stuff like this existed when I was that young, so it's cool to be in. It's like its own little underground world.
Well, you guys are a huge reason why PPW is an easy choice to go back to every week, every month, because there's not many crowds like a PPW crowd, and the support and the energy that you give to the people in the ring and everyone that works there. Like you can have the worst night of your life at PPW, but you'll leave there saying those fans are dope. Like seriously, that's a big reason why I think a lot of people come back and keep supporting that brand is because how amazing the fans are.
And they know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
And it's very true. The fans and the people there they make it something special. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Harley, what is your favorite Adena match?
Ooh.
Oh, one that I always come back to. It was, I don't remember what month it was, but it was supposed to be, I think, JC Storm, Christina, Danny Moe, and Notorious, I'm pretty sure. And it was just supposed to be those four. And then I remember Freddie Akers walking his behind now. He goes, well, this is now a fatal 5-way. And I'm like, oh my God, who this can be? And I remember I talked to Adena. She was like, oh, well, I'm in New Jersey. I won't be there.
I remember. I seen the photo. I'm like, how did she win the title?
Literally. And then when she came out, I literally freaking started crying. I was like, oh my God.
I believe that was August. Either July or August. I remember
that was the Dangle one, right?
I believe so.
I remember. I didn't even know what was.
I got there. I couldn't go because I was doing the Office Con all weekend with my wife.
Yeah.
And I remember messaging you guys, like, because you guys are big Office fans, you and Kit. And I was like, and by the way, you weren't even booked. How did you win the title?
Wrestling's weird. I remember. I wasn't. I was like double shooting, but I didn't know if I was really gonna make it. I don't remember if I was even supposed to go. Like, I can't remember how that worked out. And then I went there, and I kind of assumed, like, I knew I was going to be late, but all the girls would have figured out kind of the gist of what we were going to do. And then they're like, you're going over. I was like, huh? Like, what? Like you said, like, I wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place.
When I tell you,
we're going to see more Notorious Mimi on the independent scene. Unfortunately, it sucks for her. She's her time at NXT has run out, but she's very, very talented. I'm excited to have her back on the Northeast wrestling scene.
Same.
When I tell you, Adena, when you came out that night, and Harley seen you, I went deaf in my ear. That's how loud Harley was. I was like, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm right next to you. Like, she went bananas. Then when you won, she went even more crazy. I was like,
freaking crying in the
crowd went crazy. She cried. I was like, yo, this is what you call booking. You know what I mean? And it needs to be like that more often when it comes to surprises or, putting somebody over to get the crowd into it, because that's how we keep coming back, because there's good talent in the ring.
I agree. I think a lot of times people book things like, this is a match, this is a match, this is a match, but it's more like, okay, like emotionally, what is this going to do? Or like, what are the fans going to care? Like, some people could put on like an amazing technical match, but if the people don't know them or they're not connected to them, it's not going to resonate the same. Or like I said, bring people back. Like, you need to get the people, you need to connect with them. Like Anthony said, like actually interact with them, not just, hide in the back the whole time and, do those little things because it means more. And like you said, they'll remember that and want to come back and see you again or whoever.
I agree with you because there are a few wrestlers who are not there right now that I'm happy that have not came back yet because they were not about the fans. Granted, you can put on a show and you can have crazy skills, but if you don't bring the fans into it and show them love, who's gonna love you back?
And if there's no fans, who are you wrestling for? That's how I look at it, you know?
Absolutely.
Hey, there's the champ.
Love that.
Holy,
Yeah,
holy.
I will put out right now if you want to go see an awesome Adena match. I believe it is on YouTube. It is at the True Mill. I believe it was the GSW. Am I saying that right? The Garden State Wrestling. Like their reunion show or their come together show.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I actually seen Adena wrestle, and I went there to support my buddy Andy. We were supposed to get content, but it was one of those situations where we very new, and we went. He said, and the only place we could set our camera up was backstage, and I was like, not comfortable with this because people are changing, so I just literally left my camera and left. I didn't record a second of content, and we just watched the match and did a car ride home. But Adena worked Kit Raff, and it was not treated at all as an intergender match. It was just two opponents, and I left there huge fans of both of them because, man, Kit kicked the shit out of you in the beginning. Like, yo, the shots he was landing was crazy. Like I was like, yo, he is going in, and then you started firing back, and you were landing good shots. It was, to this day, it's still one of my favorite intergender matches I've ever experienced.
GSW, I gotta look that up.
And
I love that.
It was done very, very well, and then years later, they're the mega couple. So
I know that's so funny how that worked out. Like I always say to them, like if someone told us that day, you know what I mean? Because it was strictly like, you know, we had sort of met before because he trained where I trained, but he was out in California, and like it was just like professional. Like we did the match. It wasn't like flirty. I think we were both actually in relationships at the time. Anyway,
if it was flirty, you guys are into some strange stuff because you beat the hell out of each other.
That was some rough loving.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was like a strong style intergender match. They beat the garbage out of each other. And then there was still like the Gaga funny stuff because you have Coach there and you have to have the Coach spot. I think Coach got hit so hard by you, he fell out of his pants, which is a Coach thing where he's always his pants are always falling down. It was done so well. I still think out of the whole card, I was my favorite match in the card.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it went on first too. I remember being like, oh, we're first. Because I was still like I was still pre-pan. That was right. That was actually February. I think that was might have been my like last or second last match before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And that's why I remember actually, he still makes fun of me for it sometimes. He makes fun of me for everything. But I remember after that match, I posted a picture. It was us like going to shake hands or something after the match. And I put like, thanks for treating me as an equal or something like that. Because that was the first time I had a match with a guy, and he wasn't like, oh, since you're a girl, yeah, why don't you do this or do that? Like that was never a factor in it. He was like, why don't you give me a pile driver on the apron? I was like, what? Okay, I didn't know it was gonna go this way.
I think the match started with him just like halua kicking you in the corner and just like the impact of it, or the slap sounded like he kicked your face off your body, you know what I mean? And everyone was like, what? He's like, oh, she signed up for it. Like he played the crowd. Like
I gotta watch that now.
I'll have to find it. I know he knows where to get it because we actually watched it back recently, and he's like, I watch this all the time, and I didn't forget if it was YouTube or wherever he got it, but I remember like I watched it back and I was having flashbacks, things we did. So he did those two suplexes, but released. So he just suplexes me and throws me across the ring. And he said in the back, he's like, I do this thing where like I suplex you, but I kind of just let you go. And like, so he did that a few times. And then I didn't know I actually like dislocated his jaw during the match.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until like recently, like when we were dating, that cross body I do in the corner when people are sitting. And it had to just be a freak thing, like maybe the way his head was turned, whatever. And I had no idea. He didn't tell me that day ever. So then he was mad at me, which I didn't know. So when he went to hit his pump kick, he's like, I threw it a little extra hard. And like, I don't remember that day thinking like, oh, like what a jerk. But like, I don't remember any like it hurting much. But like we watch it, he's like, I think I just sold it really well. But he says it kicked my head off. We'll see. But it was kind of funny, like all these little things that happened in the match that we didn't even know. But even watching it back, I was like, there's one point where I'm in the corner, like chopping him and punching him, like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was so good. It was that if I'm trying to also find it here too. I cannot find it, but if she does find it, we'll have her follow her on social media and she will share that match so everyone can go check it out. It's definitely, if you're an Adena fan, it's a must watch.
Yeah, I
Love
know
that
he knows
first
how to
slam.
get to it because he just pulled it up recently.
Mhm.
I'll find it.
The whole card is good. It's a good card, and you
I
get to see
missed
Diamond.
I missed
You get
that.
to see
Well,
Diamond City War Machines on like one of their first matches back too.
yeah.
Okay.
That was such a fun show because I never worked at GSW. Because that was when they kind of stopped as a company right around like when I started training because they were close with my trainer. So when I was new, I would be going there and helping set up the ring or sell tickets or just doing whatever as a trainee. And like I remember seeing Kit wrestle when he was like tagging. Like I remember seeing these people, but like I didn't really know them. And I did ring announcing there once. Probably, I would never want to watch it back. I'd be mortified because like it was like I didn't even know what I was doing. And it was right before, like, oh, you want to announce? And I was like, sure. Because my trainer said like never say no to something. So I'm like, yeah. And I didn't even tell him. And he was like in the back, and he's like, I thought that voice sounded familiar, but one of the main event, Midas, the one day I was talking to him a while back, and he's like, we were watching these old GSW shows. We're like, is that Adena? Because I had like blue hair and just in like combat boots and clothes. And I'm like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know how that went. But it was fun. Oh, okay. I got sidetracked. It was fun to work that show because I never actually wrestled at GSW. I just helped out. So I was like, oh, this kind of came full circle. That was the point of that story.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun moments. Another one to check out. I don't know what promotion it was, but when Tommy Vex read you a poem.
Oh my God. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Tommy Vex. Wow.
The only reason I remembered that is because Tommy Vex just recently did another poem bit at Smash Master.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I was like, oh, look at he's busting out the poems again, which is good. But Harley, if you actually look in the private chat, I found it. And you can copy and paste it. So I did find it for you guys to check out. GSW One More Time on YouTube. You could type that in, but she has a link as well for you. Definitely go check it out. Fun show.
I didn't even realize there was a chat right there this whole time.
Yeah.
I only saw the stuff that was popping up on the screen.
Yeah.
I got it saved. Definitely got it saved.
You'll get a kick out of that. Especially like watching it now, knowing like we're together, and that was just like, hey, we're just having a match.
Yeah.
What a weird first date.
Love that first slam, isn't it?
Love it, first slam.
Yeah.
First dislocation.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Adena, for coming. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great episode, even though Sabrina couldn't be here. It was still amazing.
Got some fill-ins.
For those who want to watch the video, I will post it on our Instagram and Facebook, so you can check that out. Don't forget, on Friday, we will be having a PPW's prediction party with my dad and Anthony Blackwell. Hopefully, Sabrina will be there. Fingers crossed. But it'll be fun. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you watch on Friday. Bye.
Make sure you head to PPW online and get your tickets for the show on Friday or Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
Anthony Blackwell.
Dalton Castle will be there. Serpentico will be there, and Luigi Primo will be there. They're the names, and of course, all the amazing stars that you will always see at PPW will be in attendance, and we'll break down the full card and have some fun on Friday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you get to be able to hang out with me, my dad, and Anthony.
Thank you, Harley, for having me. I hope I did a good job. Adena, always a pleasure to talk, and
likewise.
And we had a blast.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye.